I'm Dr. Baksh, lecturer in Sociology, DDE, Annamalai University. I'm going to discuss about a topic called as social process. The definition for social process is characteristics, ways in which the interaction occurs is called social process. The social process is divided into two broad categories. One is associative social process and second one is dissociative social process. In associative social process, there are some subheadings. One is cooperation, second one is accommodation, third one is acculturation, fourth one is assimilation. In dissociative social process, there are two subheadings. One is competition and second one is conflict. Now, I will give the definition for cooperation. Cooperation means two or more persons work together to gain a common end is called cooperation. There are different types of cooperation. One is direct cooperation, indirect cooperation, primary cooperation, secondary cooperation, and fifth one is tertiary cooperation. First, we will discuss about direct cooperation. Direct cooperation means performance of common task with joint effort is called cooperation. The example for direct cooperation is playing together, worshipping together is the example for direct cooperation. Indirect cooperation is people work individually for attaining of common end is called as indirect cooperation. Example, farmers, tailors, spinners and weavers. And third one is primary cooperation. Primary cooperation is found in primary groups such as family, friends, children and neighborhood, so on. The reward for which everyone work or shared. And fourth one is primary cooperation. Primary cooperation is found in primary groups such as family, friends, children and neighborhood, so on. The rewards for which the society are found in secondary cooperation. And last one is tertiary cooperation. So tertiary cooperation may found bigger between groups such as political parties, tribes, religious groups, so on. And next topic is accommodation. Definition for accommodation. Changes in the behavior of individual which helps them to adjust to the environment is called accommodation. There are few characteristics of accommodation. In these characteristics, there are 5 important points. First one is accommodation is the natural result of conflict. And second one is accommodation may be conscious. Third one is accommodation is universal. Fourth one is accommodation is continuous. And fifth one is accommodation may vary with circumstance. Acculturation. Definition for acculturation. Culturally weaker group borrow most of the traits from culturally stronger group. For example, the American Indian adopted cultural elements from the whites. At the same time, the whites borrow most of the cultural traits from the native Indian. Then we will switch over to another subheading called as assimilation. In this assimilation, the definition of assimilation is individual or groups once dissimilar become similar and identified in their interest and outlook is called as assimilation. There are some characteristics of assimilation. Assimilation is not confined to single field only. Assimilation is slow and gradual process. Assimilation is unconscious one. Assimilation is two-way process. From these characteristics, we will explain each and every one of the characteristics. First one is assimilation is not confined to a single field only. First one is fusion of two distinct cultural groups. Children are gradually assimilated with adult society. For example, religious backgrounds get converted into some other religious group is called assimilation. And second one is assimilation is slow gradual process. In this process, assimilation cannot take place all of a sudden. It takes time. Fusion of personalities and groups usually takes time. And for example, German and other European cultures also has taken several decades and several centuries to assimilate a culture. And another point is there is a relative continuous direct contact. And fourth point is individual and groups direct the original cultural heritage and submit it with new one. The individual is usually unconscious of what is taking place. Assimilation is two-way process. In this two-way process, it is a principle of give and take policy. In the dissociative social process, there are two things. One is competition, another one is conflict. Now the definition of competition is an interaction without social contact is called as competition. There are different types of competition. One is economic competition, political competition, social competition and cultural competition. First we will discuss one by one. First one is social competition. Social competition means people always compete to get into higher status and positions whenever individual ability, merit, talent and capacities are recognized. The second one is economic competition. The most important and vigorous form of competition is economic competition. The process of production, distribution, consumption of goods, man compete for job, profit, wages, salaries, increments and wealthy property, etc. Man always struggle for higher standard of living. And third one is political competition. In this political competition, political parties are always engaged in competition to secure power. And fourth one is cultural competition. In this cultural competition, the culture of native and the invaders. Competition prevails between Aryans and Dravidians. The competition between racial groups such as whites and Negroes, the religious groups such as Protestants and Catholics, Hindus and Muslims. There are some characteristics present in this competition. The characteristics are follows. Competition is a continuous one. Competition is universal. Competition is dynamic. Because of competition, social change may take place. Competition is personal or impersonal. Competition may be a constructive or destructive. Competition always governs the norms. Competition may be unconscious. Conflict. It is a social process of seeking to monopoly rewards by dominating or weakening the competitors is called conflict. There are some characteristics of conflict. First one is conflict is universal. Second one is conflict is conscious one. Conflict is personal. Conflict is not continuous but intermittent. Conflict is defined issues. Conflict is conditioned by culture. Conflict is maybe personal or impersonal. Ways of resolving conflicts. Frustration and insecurity promotes conflict. There are different types of conflicts. Corporate and personal conflicts, latent and overt conflict, class conflict is there, racial conflict is there, caste conflict is there, group conflict is there, and international conflicts. It is a conscious and deliberate act. Conflict brings mostly negative results. Conflict is universal, no doubt, but it is not continuous, intermittent.